Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Andrew Yang, and we are going to talk about the year of Yang. All right, it's huge. We're sitting in 2019, and I kind of want to do a recap of the year. Today we're going to talk about Yang, and we're going to talk about H1 2019 through the filter of Andrew Yang. And Yang events from January, February, March, April, May, June of 2019, okay? So this is H1 2019. It's a business term. H1 is the first half of the year of 2019. And I think there's a lot that happened there, and I really want to just jump right in and talk about events that happened in each one of these months and how hard, and just to show how hard Yang has worked and how this momentum is built and how we've arrived here, because this has been a spectacular year for Yang. He's accomplished so much. I want to take a minute just kind of celebrate what he's done and look at the road that he used to bring us here, right? All right, so in January of 2019, Andrew Yang made his 7th visit to Iowa. Now, why is that important? It's incredibly important because of Tom Steyer, right? So Tom Steyer, he's great. He's really useful, right? Because one of the things we can use Tom Steyer for is to talk about bilates, late billionaires, right? Billionaires who are right there, and they're like, they're in America, and they're like, oh, hey, I'm looking here at this 2020 U.S. presidential primary race, and I see Americans who have, are having pieces that are written about them, and they're getting on camera, and people are talking about them. That looks fun. I like podcasts and radio and television, and I like media attention as a billionaire. Hey, why don't I do that, right? I have billions of dollars. I can just spend my own money. I can do this like a hobby, like bass fishing or macrame, right? And then they roll in late for work with their latte for work, right? That's when you're late for work and you got a latte, literally saying, yes, I could have been on time for work, but I literally stopped for this latte, right? Like, this Starbucks latte. And you're like, what the heck? They're late for work, right? These billionaires, they're rolling in, they're treating this like a hobby, they're treating this like a Trello task checkbox, right? And it's a joke. And that's the issue, is when Andrew Yang is in Iowa for the 7th time, because he's been running since 2017 as a 2020 U.S. presidential primary candidate within the Democrat race, right? He says, Tom Steyer, you are a joke. You don't take this seriously. You're lazy. You have no vision. It took you this long to figure out that the country needed you to run. Maybe they don't, right? And guess what? You can take every other late billionaire and lump them in with Tom Steyer, because they're just like every billionaire who comes in after Tom Steyer is just a poor man's Tom Steyer, right? And Tom Steyer is Tom Steyer, right? So it's important that in January 2019, Andrew Yang had his 7th trip to Iowa. That's what dedication looks like. That's why Yang wins, is he does the labor, right? He puts in the work, right? It's incredibly important. Also, in that month, in January 2019, he did a huge policy bolster on his website, right? And why is that important? Pete Buttigieg, right? Months before Pete Buttigieg had a single policy in his brain, right? Actually, even worse than that. Months before Pete Buttigieg bothered to copy other people's policies, Andrew Yang was bolstering dozens of policies. Incredibly important. And this is the record that shows the labor, the intensity, the severity that he thinks you need to take this with, like the seriousness that you need to apply this job. And it's one of the reasons why I believe so strongly in Yang, is he puts in the labor. He's not just showing up, right? He is the real deal, right? This is real intelligence, real hard work, married, right? Together in one noble individual. And frankly, I don't see it in anybody else. I don't see anybody with this level of commitment and this level of intelligence. Because frankly, as committed as Yang is, Bernie Sanders is even more committed. It's just Bernie Sanders doesn't have his intelligence and certainly doesn't have the right policies, right? But I ain't gonna lie. Nobody's beating Bernie in commitment at this point. We got to be honest, right? All right. January 2019, there were multiple pieces that prominently showed Andrew Yang's scarf. I think Andrew Yang's flag scarf is really, really important. And we are here now, right? Andrew Yang defeated every single person of color in the 2020 U.S. primary presidential race. The only people he has to defeat now are white candidates, right? That's it. He defeated every person of color in the race, right? He came up on top, right? Now, it shouldn't be that way. He shouldn't have had to defeat them first, right? And it's terrible that happened, right? But you have to take these victories as they come, right? And there's only 6 people who stand in Andrew Yang's way to gaining the presidency, right? And again, it's super not ideal, right? And the reality is, what caused that? The reality is we don't know. Like, it could have been his hard work. It could have been a million things, right? But we don't really know every element, right? And the reality is we don't know, like, how much of Andrew Yang's victory is due to that flag scarf. Somebody had the good idea of putting that on him, and I think it really helped, right? And it could be 1% or it could be 10%. We don't know, right? But it's all important, right? And the thing is, you can't stand on a hill of success and say, this was important, this was important, right? You really don't know where, what in that melange got you there. But I think the scarf was really important. And in January 2019, it was publicly seen in multiple pieces, and it was really important. All right, February 2019, New Hampshire coffee shop with 5 people. Now, actually, I was not even tracking Yang this early, and so this is material I saw after the fact, right? But in February of 2019, Andrew Yang talked to 5 people in a New Hampshire coffee shop. I'll tell you right now, Andrew Yang can't go anywhere now and talk to 5 people, right? There are hundreds of people that surround him because he is less of a long shot every day. And frankly, he's one of 7. Like, he is one of 7, right? That's where we are now, right? There's only really 7 contenders, and he's one of them. At the end of 2019, he's one of 7 that are competing for the presidency, right? If you didn't make the debates, you're gone. You're done, right? Like, that is the true filter, right? And so he's one of 7. But it's important for us to understand that in February of this year, he stood in a coffee shop and talked to 5 people, right? And he was not discouraged. He believed in himself. It's critical to remember that. We've got to remember those days, right? In February 2019, he talked to WMUR Radio. Why is that important? Any and all and frequent interviews. He did not show favorites between formats. He did podcasts, he did radio, he did television, and he took any and all, almost any and all comers, right? And that's not the case with Biden and Biden and even Warren have Warren's like, I'm not going on Joe Rogan, right? And frankly, it's probably good that she doesn't. I'm not sure she can handle him, right? Like, the reality is, I'm not, like, this guy is a hair's breadth away from the millennials, right? And from some very unusual groups. We don't know if Elizabeth Warren has the chops to hang with Rogan, right? But Andrew Yang, any and all comers, bring them, right? And it is why he's such a powerful candidate. And the fact that he does these frequent interviews is huge, right? And the fact that he was there for radio too. Radio's almost dead. He was showing up, it matters. Next is Rogan. In February of 2019, Andrew Yang went on Rogan, and Rogan served as a catapult for Andrew Yang. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of depth here because I got an entire video on it. You'll find it right here, right here on this channel. Okay, March 2019. The term Yang Gang begins to become much, there's multiple pieces that kind of put this name forward, and the name starts to become more prominently and is starting to be used prominently within the media. Yang Gang, right? Again, it's an element. We don't know how powerful it is, we don't know how important it was to the success of Yang. It could be huge. The fact that it rhymes is big. It just rolls off the tongue, right? And also, not only does Yang Gang, the term, emerge, but Yang Gang begins to truly coalesce and begins to work together. And you're starting to see some very strong alliances within the Yang Gang itself. All right. In March of 2019, there is a think piece on war on normal people that really puts the book in front of a lot of people. Why is it important that in March of 2019, War on Normal People, the War on Normal People, Andrew Yang's book is highlighted? Tom Steyer, right? Late billionaires. They are a huge problem that a lot of people are worried about. I'm not worried about them, right? Because Andrew Yang's got it covered, right? Andrew Yang shows the ridiculousness of these late billionaire candidates. They are jokes. They are laughable. They do not deserve a single vote, right? Because they don't take the process serious. Now, why does War on Normal People show that? Guess what, right? I did the research. On that stage on December 19th this month with the debate, Tom Steyer is the only person on that stage that did not write one or more books, right? Andrew Yang has multiple books, and every single person on that stage has a book. You know why they all have a book? They're running for president, and they have an idea. They had an idea here and here, okay? And when they had those ideas were so huge, so explosive, and so much of a catalyst that those candidates had to push them out onto the page. And when they pushed them out on the page, they didn't fit in an article. They had to be made into a book. Authors write books because they can't stop themselves from doing it. Okay? That's how books are birthed, right? They come out of a true author's heart and mind, right? That book had to be pushed out of Yang's head, right? Because he had to get it out, right? And I'm a writer too. Writers have to write books, right? They because otherwise the ideas get stuck in their head, and they need to free their minds for other bigger ideas. Except Tom Steyer, his ideas are so small, so tiny and so small that they remain right in his head. He is useless, and he is a waste of space on that stage. And every late billionaire that rolls behind him is worse than him, right? And we need Yang to remind us that it doesn't matter how many stacks of money you have. You've got to have ideas big enough to fill a book. And Tom Steyer doesn't have ideas big enough to fill a single piece of paper. He is useless on that stage. And Yang points at him with every action and says, "You are a joke. Go back to your yacht." Yeah, I love how Yang never says a word to Steyer and wrecks him left and right, right? All right, so, okay. It irks me that Steyer takes space. Like the fact that Kamala Harris is gone and Tom Steyer is standing at that podium is such a huge injustice. The fact that Cory Booker is there and Cory Booker is gone and Tom Steyer is there, it is galling. It is so galling. Tulsi, like there's just so many people who are more worthy, and he is literally just, rolling in late, not taking it serious, and using his stacks of money to overcome the obstacles. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. It is frustrating. All right. March 2019, Nerds for Yang sets the bar for Yang Gang and starts it with charts and says, Yang Gang is a force. We're serious. We're going to deliver incredibly high quality content. And also it points to all those other candidates. Like, where are the Warren YouTubers? Where are the Biden YouTubers? They don't exist, right? And it points to the weakness of them as candidates, right? All right, April of 2019. The UBI bond happens, right? So at this point, Andrew Yang essentially becomes the point where he owns UBI. At this point, I think going forward, Thomas Paine and MLK and Alaska, nobody gonna care about their UBI. Yang owns UBI, and that bond, that adhesion starts in April of 2019. Also in April 2019, meme momentum catches. Right, and so we start to see memes that we start to see a very significant amount of major deliverable memes that center around Yang, really important ones, right? And Yang dancing and Yang like kind of cartoonized, and Yang animes and Yang, it all starts to roll, right? And that catches in April, in April of 2019. So Yang memes really start to catch, right? And some of the most important ones that really lit that whole thing on fire and set that ball rolling happened in April. April 2019, Scott Garibay goes daily Yang, right? I began doing daily videos on Andrew Yang. The reason I mention it is I'm part of Andrew Yang's, I'm part of Yang Gang, and I think it's important because I feel I am Andrew Yang's most eclectic poster. I don't think anyone in Yang Gang posts more frequently with a wider range of topics, right, that are connected to Andrew Yang. That's my claim. Point me out, somebody, if I'm wrong, right? And then let's move to May 2019. May 2019, I love this. Andrew Yang challenges Beto O'Rourke to a skateboard contest. Love it. And frankly, I think it's one of the reasons why he defeated him. Beto never took him up on it. And it's one of the reasons why everybody realized Beto was lame and Beto had to drop early. Next is the automation bond, right? So at this point, Yang becomes bonded to the automation issue. People start to understand in May of 2019 because of a mass of pieces that have been done about automation, about Yang. People start to finally understand Yang's nuanced stance on automation, which is not that he's against it, but that he wants to protect people as the wave hits. Very, very nuanced, very unique and special and really important. Okay. Then also in May 2019 is the first recognitions of the Yang blackout. We're starting now at this point it's so obvious because we have these literal historic trends of it. We can say, here it is, and you could just show it in examples. It was much, much harder to see in May of 2019, but people started to call it out, and it starts to gain traction and be recognized that the media, the traditional media, is really very purposely ignoring Yang. A lot of people are upset. A lot of people are like, what the heck, what's happening here? It's a big deal. All right. Last month of H1 2019 is June. All right. Here we go. Big one. June 2019, we have the first debate in Miami, and there are 20 candidates on stage. Andrew Yang comes out of the gate with a little bit of a stumble. He starts a little bit slow, right? But he's there, right? And he shows himself. He does well enough to plant himself in people's minds, right? And he finds his footing. He staggers just a little bit. He doesn't fall. There's a little bit of a stumble, right? But he comes out of the gate, and it's good. It's a good start, right? Also at this point in June 2019, Yang at this point he actually acknowledged this in one of the podcasts where he really had been received as a celebrity. He'd been on The Breakfast Club, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Bill Maher, and Stephen Colbert. These are all shows that receive celebrities, right? And he's been on all of them at this point. And so Yang is really showing his momentum across the spectrum of different methods, right? And this is really important. And then he closes out H1 2019. Andrew Yang closes out June 2019 by doing the bottle cap challenge. And actually, he doesn't actually accomplish the bottle cap challenge. He just does it as a joke, which I think was a great way to end H1 2019 because it shows his humor. And I think his humor is a huge part of who and what Andrew Yang is. It's been an incredible road getting to where we are. I'm so proud of him. I think it's been a tremendous year, and H1 2019 is incredibly important to where we are right now. And I just wanted to share it with you because I didn't want to forget it, right? I want this to be cemented in our mind about how hard he's worked to get us here and how lame Tom Steyer is comparatively. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion on the topic. Let me know. Did I miss any events? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.